genre setting for both the campaign and for characters is definitely one of the most important things to do at a session zero. And it's really well worth taking the time to talk about that with all of your players and, as a GM, either way, both. So my son has been talking about doing an anime campaign, about me running an anime campaign. And we have a lot of conversations about not only his friends and their ability to exist in a world one way versus another, and just what's going to be more fun long term, right? So we look at something like Naruto, where things can be supernatural. There's plenty of room for like over the top action, and there's definitely room for humor and silliness, but the world itself feels like it takes itself kind of seriously, right? In a good way, not in a bad way. But it's all there's a lot of life or death stuff, even with the silliness, versus something like One Piece, where yes, the world takes itself seriously, its characters take themselves seriously, but it's all very silly, right? It just is. And so both have really lush, vibrant worlds that are well built and well established. And so it's just a conversation of like, well, do you and your friends want to do anime ninja combat in the forests and mountains, or do you want to be goofy sailors on a ship with, I don't know, a cannon for a leg or something like that? Like, what's going to be the feel that you really want to go for? Another great example, and maybe this is the quintessential example, is something like the Lord of the Rings world, right, in Middle-earth. If you do a lot of, you could do an entire campaign, an all hobbits campaign in the Shire, and there would be plenty of danger. There would be, right? You can put in orcs and goblins and all kinds of monstrosities, and then, dangerous humans and all kinds of stuff. But otherwise, in your downtime, it's the Shire. It's wonderful. You're eating, cheese and freshly baked bread and honey and butter, and everyone gets to be a hobbit, and that's, it can be lighthearted even with those dangers. But if you go up into Arnor or something like that, that's survival. You don't know. I mean, it's dark and it's gritty, and the weather is awful, and the monstrosities up there are even more dangerous. And so even within, not that far from each other, right, the Shire versus Arnor, you have a significant shift in the vibe. And so both for the setting and for the characters, right, do you want to be a halfling cook, or do you want to be a ranger or an elf who's, that version of a ranger in a much more dangerous version of that world? So yeah, this is a good one. Huge, huge props for that. That's well worth doing.